Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here. I am Bonnie, and I am facilitating this candidate forum for secretary at FFAP. And we have a list of questions, and we have two terrific candidates. We are also we also have ASL interpreters. So the candidates will keep saying their names before they answer the questions. Just for the sake of understanding how this will go, I'm going to start. Each time we can switch up when you answer. You don't have to always be the first person to answer the question. So how this is going to go is we're going to have each of the two candidates give a 2-minute introduction to say whatever they want to say, and then we have questions. Bonnie will ask the question, but I'll also put it in the chat, and each candidate will have 2 minutes to answer. Michelle Dewberry is going to be the timekeeper. And Michelle, what will you be doing to let people know when it's time?
I will give a 15-second warning, and then I'll just say, time's up when time's up. So
Okay, and
15 at 1 minute 45 seconds. If you're still talking, I'll say 15 seconds, and then I'll say time's up at 2 minutes.
okay, great. Thank you so much. So today, shall we just start with Lisa? Are you okay to be the first one to go?
Sure. This is Lisa speaking. Yes.
Okay, so yes, I should I should probably say that our two candidates are Lisa Lamb and Sarah Coughlin. Okay,
All right.
so
Thank you.
Lisa's good. Yeah, and when you start, the time will start.
Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Lisa Lamb, she, her pronouns. I'm an academic professional working as an online learning success coach, and I'm running for FFAP secretary and asking you to support me in the upcoming election. I've been at PCC for 10 years and have served as a CAP since 2018. And since the start of my union leadership, my main goal has always to bring more people into our union. Sometimes it can feel really intimidating to participate for whatever reason. It might be because you have a bad boss or the ways that people participate don't match up with your comfort zone. Whatever the reason is, my goal has been to help folks feel connected to our union and to find ways to engage. As secretary, I'd continue this practice by encouraging and empowering members to be informed and active, in turn, helping other colleagues join and engage in our union. I think I'd be a good fit for the Executive Council because of my past work and educational background. In the past, I've worked in the law and I've developed an analytical mindset. I like to think deeply and ask questions, and I'm a big proponent of record keeping in my daily practice as a coach. Moreover, in a previous role, I helped create standard operating procedures, I streamlined processes, and I developed record keeping practices to comply with grant rules. As secretary, I'll need to keep good records to ensure that they can be referred to in the future, so I feel like my past experience will be critical. Finally, if you have questions or want to talk one-on-one, please feel free to reach out to me. If you have union questions that aren't about this election or questions after this election, I just want you to feel like you have someone you can chat with. Most of all, I'm really happy to see that we have so many contested elections because it's good for our union that so many people want to serve. Sarah is an amazing union leader, so whatever the outcome is, I know we will both work in solidarity to support our members,
15
students, and
seconds.
PCC community. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Sarah, you're up.
Thank you so much, Lisa. This is Sarah Kofer talking. Hi, everybody. My name is Sarah Kofer. I am a part-time faculty in the ESOL and sometimes the ABE departments, mostly at Southeast and Cascade. I've been teaching at PCC since since winter term 2023. So this is my 4th year teaching at PCC. I've been in the union since I started. I was lucky because ESOL is a pretty, union heavy department. So I feel like that was kind of part of my startup paperwork. I had also been trained as a steward and a worksite organizer when I was working as an instructional assistant and finishing my master's degree in OSEA. It's not my first union, as they say that. And I've been really glad to be a part of FFAP since I've been a part of it. It's a very strong, the leadership is very strong. And the rank and file membership is very strong. We have a lot of assets, and like, it's just been like actually a pleasure to be a part of this union. And I was since I've been in FFAP, I've been on I've been a cat. I've been on communications committee. That's kind of an at-will committee, so my participation is spotty, but it's given me a lot of insight into our union. I also did the Member Organizing Institute in spring of 2025 and was an AFT Oregon delegate, so that also gave me a lot of good training
15
about
seconds.
organizing. Sorry, what?
15 seconds.
Really? Like Lisa said, regardless of what happens, I'm going to be a part of FFAP and continue to help and everything like that. Thank you so much.
Thank you both. This is Bonnie. Thank you both. So the first question, and I'm putting it in the chat, and the question is, as a member of the executive committee, you will be part of supervising FFAP staff. What experiences do you have that would help with working with staff? Now, I can go straight to Sarah and then to Lisa if that would feel more fair. Yeah. Okay, so Sarah, you'll answer this one, then Lisa, and then Lisa, you'll answer second, like that.
Okay. This is Sarah Kofer talking again. I don't have a lot of experience professionally managing staff. I think that as in a lot of different professional experiences or in union experiences, I think that I've definitely collaborated as part of a team. And then particularly one of the things that I wanted to talk about as far as coming to secretary, the secretary position is sort of my ability to listen empathically and sort of reflect accurately like what I've heard. It makes it easy for me to work with people who are coming from a different space than maybe others in the room or me. So I don't know if I've overseen staff, but I think that I've collaborated well. I think that my colleagues would say that I collaborate well. And, I mean, for better or for worse, I'm able to say things honestly that I feel like need to be said. And I've learned over the years to do so in a way that is that can also be heard and received well, and is coming from compassion. So, I think that I like try to create like a collaborative atmosphere and see where people are coming from and just focus on common goals and see how we can work together. I mean, yeah, fortunately, I say this very sincerely. Fortunately, I haven't had to manage a lot of people in my life and be responsible for them, but
15 seconds.
as like a colleague, I think that I do well in groups of focusing people toward a goal and understanding where people are coming from and helping find middle ground for all of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Lisa, same question.
This is Lisa Lamb speaking. Like Sarah, I haven't managed professional staff. I do have experience supervising student staff. So here at PCC, student staff, and then also in my previous roles working at a courthouse and being an attorney, I've had like interns and other students. And I think some of the same principles are going to apply, right? So like Sarah talked about, listening is going to be really important. And I think treating folks with respect is important in all contexts, but especially if you're in any type of supervisory role. I don't pretend to know everything about what people do. So it's going to be important to use those skills of listening to understand and hear what they need and what I need to learn in order to be helpful in this process. Also, like Sarah, I've been working on a lot of cooperative teams. And so I think being able to have those open conversations, and just be willing to ask questions so that I can understand what the appropriate role is for me and where I should be, is going to be really important. What I think is so great in this context is that we are coming from a place of so much solidarity and respect. And I know that the union staff have a union as well. So it's an exciting, it's exciting to think about a relationship where both sides are going to treat each other with that mutual respect and not be so contentious about things. So I approach it in a way of just being able to learn a lot and then being able to understand the processes so that we can work
15
towards something
seconds.
greater with PCC as well. Because I think it's going to be like really eye-opening to see what a cooperative supervisory relationship will look like.
Thank you, Lisa. And you're going to take up this next one, which is, how do you imagine including members in the basic function of your area of the union? So in this case, as secretary.
This is Lisa Lamb speaking. I think that's a great question. You know, as secretary, we're going to have to be keeping really good records. And I think that's something that I was not aware of that I could have access to. So my thoughts are, I would really want to be able to periodically invite rank and file members to review notes or potentially have meetings or like open like office hours type situations where I can encourage rank and file members who aren't as engaged in the union to really come to these types of meetings and to look over the records and to ask questions. As I stated in my statement at the beginning, my whole goal is to get more people involved in the union. So I think the person who holds the role of secretary is going to be really important in helping folks engage in the minutia of these meetings, because I do think it feels really intimidating to enter these types of spaces if you don't know anybody on the executive committee or you just haven't been as involved. So I think having that friendly face, inviting folks to come, setting those times to meet and connect are going to be really important to get those members to come and to understand more of like the practices of the executive committee.
Thank you, Lisa. Sarah?
Hi, yeah, this is Sarah Kofer speaking again. Yeah, I think I have a lot of the same thoughts and ideas on it as Lisa does. And it's been one of the things that has, well, it's perplexed me about all democratic organizing. There, like every thing that I've ever been a part of, and usually every situation that I'm in, I tend to be a part of whatever the organizing body is. It's just my personality type. So I tend to be like kind of more in the center of things, but I definitely have a lot of understanding for people who kind of, for whatever reasons, bandwidth or what have you, might be more peripheral. And I've had some ideas about how FFAP can be more accessible and kind of more yeah, just drawing in participation from rank and file membership and having it be like, and I don't, that was part of my motivation for getting on communications committee too, was just like ideas and thoughts about how can we make this more accessible. I've worked a fair amount as an ESOL instructor on accessible education and as an ABE instructor and with the accessible ed department. So, which a lot of FFAP already does, like the formatting necessary, but, more about like accessible design, kind of like broad scale, like in the communications. And I think I had similar ideas to Lisa's, is like doing something like a town hall. I think the more that we kind of like ritualize and kind of build in certain routines and procedures, like when the meeting minutes from the last meeting are going out, where they live,
15 seconds.
Just inviting more agenda items and hot topics from the membership before the EC. I have many thoughts, but yeah, I mean, I think, and Lisa's thinking the right way too. I think I want to make it, where people feel like they know how to get involved.
That's time.
Okay, thank you. And then the next question, which will be for Sarah this time. What do you feel are the 1 to 3 most pressing issues for our union right now, and why?
Hmm. Oh, I'm still unmuted. Oh, convenient. This is Sarah talking. That's a good question. I think one of the most number ones, one or two, is maybe, kind of resting and reflecting after everything that we just like went through. It's really it's like right now I think it's really great because we have this like surge of participation and interest and investment. I mean, even a lot of like non-members invested a lot of time into the strike, and things are really, we can see from like top-down emails and everything, that we still have many opportunities to organize and affect change that will benefit us and the students. Um, but I do think there's a very real fatigue and thinking about how to engage sustainably, and that looks different for everybody. And this is an opportunity for us, in my opinion. I think so. Maybe number two is here is like building in kind of more of a non-hierarchical, wider, more involved, less kind of like nuclear, um, like modes of participation that again are kind of like habitual or expected. It'd be a great way to capitalize on what we've built and continue to build it, because number three, 2027 is coming fast. Outside of us, 2026 and 2028 are going to be heavy. And I think, we have a really great union. We have a really great opportunity to be an incredible union, and make a big change for PCC, and to be, quite the role model and quite the force in the greater education and Oregon labor movement in general. And a lot of students are looking to us now. And so, yeah, did I like accidentally actually hit my top three?
15 seconds.
Yeah, okay, cool. Thank you very much.
Lisa?
Hi, this is Lisa Lamb speaking. Sarah, great job. I think Sarah makes a lot of good points, and things I really do agree with. To say a couple things that I think are different that are really pressing right now, I think top of the mind for a lot of folks is the idea of repairing the harm between administration and the union. So like those organizing efforts that we have to try to elect board members who are union friendly, I think there's a lot of exciting work going on there. I think another issue that really became apparent with this reopener was the folks who got left out of the TA. I think it really exposed that we need, like Sarah said, more participation, make sure that all the voices are heard, because there were some folks who were harmed by the TA and that weren't made whole. And I think that's extremely important that we address those issues somehow and figure out how to make sure that we're capturing those folks. A third issue that I've heard a lot about from just talking to members that I engage with is just the idea of making sure that we continue to organize with FCE. So I think that's a pressing issue, like whether we continue to always be on the same timeline as them, but we want to make sure that the folks who are in the FCE union are also taken care of too. I think that brought up a lot when they were going to TA before us, and us wanting to support each other and stay together was really important for a lot of folks. So I think, making sure that our unions are aligned is something that's coming up that we'll want to think about and talk about further.
Thank you. This is Bonnie. Thank you, Lisa. And because it's kind of related, I'm going to put this next question in, which looks long. One perspective is that if members have unmet priorities, they should get more involved with the union and in leadership. What is your perspective about this and the process of discovering and meeting the needs of members that aren't well represented for a multitude of reasons in union priorities? And Lisa, you get to start.
Okay, this is Lisa speaking. I've thought a lot about this. I think this is really important because it was really a hard pill to swallow, to learn that there were folks who didn't have their needs met. And it's really easy to say, get more involved with the union, talk to us more. Again, like I mentioned this in my statement, it can feel really intimidating because you might be in a precarious spot, or you don't have the ability, the time, you might have stuff going on outside of your lives. I think what it comes down to is I want all members to be involved if they can be. And if they can't put in that same level of time as like Sarah and I, or like the cats, I think the really important thing is to do some mapping of where cats are at, where stewards are at, and really take the time to figure out, make sure that at least like every department, right, at every campus has one person who can help report the needs. And that's a really big job. And the cats are trying. We're trying really hard. I know, Sarah, you're a cat too. So that's something that we've been talking about a lot. But I do believe that that is going to help us discover the needs of all members by having super informed and engaged cats who are talking to people regularly. I think the other issue is, there are cats who have way too many people on their list, and it's hard to hear all the needs and priorities when cats are spread so thin. So I really do believe that making sure that we have a network of peer-to-peer organizers is going to be really important moving forward.
This is Bonnie. Thank you. Lisa, go ahead, Sarah.
Thanks, you guys. This is Sarah speaking again. Again, a lot like Lisa. And I do think that, again, in all the organizations that I've been in, a lot of you guys already know me. I think I thought about this the most in like Narcotics Anonymous, and it's been funny that it's like repeats in a lot of areas, because there is always this kind of like dance between making environments or spaces accessible and inviting and welcoming to all different, like neurotypes and ability levels and race, ethnicity, all of that, just making it very welcoming. And at the same time, balancing that with like personal responsibility. And we wouldn't want to like do for others what they can do for themselves, or tell people they need to do things that they don't want to do. So, I mean, in a lot of ways that balance is good. But to that end, I do think there's a lot like Lisa said, I've been thinking a lot about our cat and steward model. We're kind of moving to our steward, and in other unions and other democratically organized things, there is kind of more of like a work site organizer, or people where the distribution is. So it might behoove us to think about like what is the lowest maintenance system for that, so that it's the most sustainable. And as well with our communications, I think, I love a good Google form, but I just wonder if communication wise and and again, like habitual wise, if there's ways that we can take the pulse of the membership or elicit input on a
15
more
seconds.
regular basis. But it is, it's a great question. It's important that as a union, we address it responsibly and not just blow it off, because whatever the reasons that people are finding barriers,
That's time.
Okay, thank you both. This is Bonnie. I want to get 2 more questions in. So, Michelle, if you can give people a minute and a half so that we can get them both in. Okay,
Gotcha.
thank you. Wait, what happened? Now I'm going to be the reason. Okay. The second to last question is, how do you want Executive Council members to address the concerns of those on the council in opposition to something the majority favors? And I think now it's Sarah's turn to go first.
Yeah, this is a really good question too. There is kind of a necessity in this kind of work to especially the feedback that I've gotten as a person who's visibly involved in the union. Sometimes the minority can still have extremely valid points that need to be considered. And sometimes flexibility is required on people who are I think I've been in both places, where I've had a really strong feeling about something, and I know I've been that, and I've been in the minority. And I'm usually pretty vocal about it. So that's always been fun. I've also been where I have to let go of something that I think is really important. And so I guess, ideally what you always want to see is that an executive council is treating every opinion and every piece of input with the regard that it deserves, which is something that is serious. I think, assuming for the most part, if people have said something, it's because it's important. And it's yeah, and there's different systemic
15
ways
seconds.
to consider things that are in the minority but still very valid and could be like and then ways to judge also if there's just time to move forward with the majority wishes, but yeah, great question.
Thank
All right.
you, Lisa.
This is Lisa Lamb speaking. I think Sarah makes a lot of good points. We have to be able to treat people with that respect, right? And give them that time to be able to speak those dissents because they're going to be important. They're going to bring up things that perhaps the majority haven't been thinking of, maybe because of how they're engaging in life. I do think another aspect of it is that's really important is as a secretary, you're that record keeper, right? So I think about, really, it's really important to make sure that dissent is noted and that conversation regarding that dissent is noted. Because we might not all agree, but we want to know at least that the conversation was had because that's going to be really important for those rank and file members. Honestly, I would need to learn a little bit more about how EC meetings work and how note taking in the EC works, because maybe there's something where, we could bring that up at the next, meeting and conversation to make sure that everybody has like fully spoken on that topic. I think I need to do a lot more learning to see how that process works, but I do feel like that record keeping aspect is important because we want to make sure everybody's represented and the record is accurate.
15 seconds.
Okay, thank you, Lisa. This is Bonnie. And actually, we're going to give 1 minute for this next one. And that's how we're going to go out. Because I think it's something we need to all be able to say in 1 minute. And that is, what would you like to say to PCC APs and faculty that aren't union members? And I believe, Lisa, you're going to start, and then Sarah, you'll finish us out.
This is Lisa speaking. This is a tough question. I think what I would want to say to folks who aren't union members is I want them to know that there's a space at the table for them, right? There's clearly something going on regarding why they aren't members, whether that's ideological, financial, or whatnot. And what I want them to know is we're willing to have those open conversations. And regardless of whether or not they are a dues paying member and they join the union is here for them, right? We are here to support everybody in our bargaining union. We're here to support our students, and we're here to support the community at PCC. So that to me is what I want them to know, is that the union is not just for union paying members. It's for all of us.
Thank you, Lisa. And Sarah, why don't you finish us out?
Yeah, I think that what I tend to say is along the lines of, dues are a representation of values and resources. I mean, by and large, and honoring sometimes where people have expressed that they don't feel welcome or they don't feel included or reached out to as part of the union. I always try to encourage people, because I'm not coming from a place of somebody who doesn't know what it's like to not fit in, is like, you are entitled to that space. And those dues are the way that we just sustain our
15
activities
seconds.
so we can advocate for ourselves. And the more of us that are together, the stronger that we are. And so, yeah, thanks.
Thank you both. This is Bonnie. Thank you both so much. I'm sure it is now even harder for people to decide who they're voting for. And thank you for going first. That was also very strong and brave and wonderful. So, and thank you for being part of our union and being leaders already. Clearly, you are both tremendous assets. So we're going to go right into the next group, the next pair. And this is the pair that are running for nominations and elections officer, and that would be Alicia Kearns and Dan Davis, and I am talking while I am trying to pick up the question. But before the question comes up, we're going to give you each 2 minutes to say whatever, I'm sorry, my voice is going, whatever it is that you'd like to say. And Dan, do you mind starting?
Yeah, hi. Can everyone hear me? Okay, good. Okay. Yeah, hi.
All
Uh,
right, go ahead.
I'm Dan Davis, and I'm excited to return to the Executive Council for a second time as Nominations and Elections Officer. First of all, I would like to say that Alicia is an amazing and energetic candidate who brings some things to the table that I don't. She is also an AP, and it would serve really well to have another person from this underrepresented class on VEC. What do I bring to the table? I previously served as the first lead steward for full-timers. During this time, I was active in organizing. This included working with CATs and stewards to organize and motivate around contract issues. This work was not limited to full-time faculty. I've also worked closely with APs and part-timers on issues and grievances. For example, I have successfully organized with ESOL and ABE to get rid of several toxic bosses. I was a member of a group who reformed the union into more of an organizing model as opposed to a service model. I've assisted members with grievances, organizing, and even lawsuits. I've went to board meetings multiple times and advocated for members. I've taken charge of membership pushes, which increased membership among all classes. I've attended several Oregon and national conferences and advocated for a more radical agenda. During the strike, I was present on picket lines every day. I lobbied members in the EC and the president of AFT Oregon to continue holding out for
15
strike
seconds.
pay when many in the know said we would not get it. I just want to thank everybody here for having me. And again, I want to just emphasize how wonderful I think Alicia would be as well in this position. So I'm really happy either way. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, Dan. This is Bonnie. Thank you, Dan. Alicia, you're up 2 minutes.
Awesome. Thank you so much. This is Alicia Kearns. I use she, her pronouns. I will echo what Dan said. I feel the same way. Like when I saw who else was running, I was like, great, win-win for everybody. This is awesome. I have some notes prepared, so pardon me while I pull them up. First, I just do want to say I'm honored to be in the running to be your nominations and elections officer for FFAP. Leading up to the strike, I was inspired by all of the volunteers who helped get us going, who supported us through getting food, getting theme days, connecting with our FCE, our sibling union. I remember every day showing up to the picket line and just being like, how is this so organized? They were just our coworkers. They were people. They weren't superheroes. I mean, in my heart, they are. And so I am feeling really motivated and inspired to be a more active member. And I'm feeling the energy to connect, collaborate, organize, and be part of this next wave of union leaders. I think there's always a good time for new people to step up and step in. As your nominations and election officer, my main goals will be to ensure that our federation's elections continue to be organized and transparent, and definitely to engage other members in serving in ways that highlight their skills and resources. For me, this would be a huge learning experience. I totally admit that, and I'm excited to hopefully be in this learning experience. At PCC, I've been here for almost 12 years. My first 4 years at PCC, I was a classified staff member. I worked as an admin assistant in a couple different offices, and I've been working as an academic advisor since 2018. My union experience at the college, when I was a classified member, I was part of the Executive Council for a short period of time as a
15 seconds.
Thank you. As a workplace representative or a site representative, with the FFAP role, I have helped out here and there with CAT. I'll talk more about that later. And I'm just really excited to have the opportunity to possibly serve our union even more.
Thank you, Alicia. Okay, so here's the first question for both of you, and you'll each have 2 minutes. What does an ideal FFAP election cycle look like for you, and what steps would you take to get closer to that? And Alicia, you're going to go first this time. You're going to each take turns going first. Take it away.
Awesome. Thank you so much. This is Alicia. An ideal FFAP election cycle. I guess we're in it, so that's where we are right now. I think one of the big things is a lot of communication about it. Like, why is it happening? When is it happening? Sharing out dates, times, requirements, what's not required for people to be elected or nominated, or vice versa. I think having a lot of, let me take that back. Having some events, I'm thinking of capacity for staff. We're all working either part-time or full-time at the college, but having events like this, like a forum, having on-campus conversation times, getting to know people who are interested in running, that to me would look really great. Having people, be involved in as much as they can. What steps would I take to get close to that? It even though this role is very cyclical with like the different election cycles, I think there's always going to be that downtime where preparing, communicating throughout, connecting with people in the union during those downtimes to gauge interest, to see who's participating in various work groups. Are they interested in potentially running to be an elected member? As an advisor, my job is super cyclical as well. So I'm used to those like utilizing those downtimes to make sure that like when it's time for like a lot of action, to be ready, to be energized, to be engaged. That's kind of all that I have on that for the moment. So I'll give Dan my time.
Thank you. Alicia, he doesn't get your time, but he does get 2 minutes. Take it away.
Thank you, Alicia. Thank you, Bonnie. I think an election cycle. I mean, we do oftentimes have 1 or 2 years between elections, and I think, and this is going to be my answer, I think, to a lot of these questions is we need to have more member involvement, especially in members of our bargaining unit who don't traditionally have much involvement. I would like to see more participation from some of our CTE programs, and just some of the membership that doesn't tend to step up and want to do elections. And there can be lots of ways to participate in the union. You can be a cat, you can be a steward, or you can just be the kind of person that just kind of reads the emails and talks to your colleagues. But all of that leads, I think, eventually to service. I mean, I think the union is kind of addictive. I think we saw that during the strike. People got really energized, they got really into it, and they felt really, really good. So it is now when we need to get people more involved. And that involvement does not have to be elections. It doesn't have to be running for office. It can just be stepping up and becoming a leader among your colleagues. Now, as for election cycles, I think it's really important to have contested elections. And I was disappointed in last time when the president's election and some of the important offices weren't contested. And I think that put a lot of people off. This time we have contested elections for, I think, four or five positions. It's fantastic. And this is due to the strike, and this is due to some of the conversations that were had in the years in between, and also a really good job by our elections officer. Thank you.
Thank you both. This is Bonnie. Okay, so we are going to go on to the next question, and Dan, you're going to start this one off. And the question is, what do you feel are the 1 to 3 most pressing issues for our union right now, and why?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the number one, well, I'm not even going to rank these. The first thing that comes to mind right now is Dr. Adrienne Bennings. I believe she must leave. There can be no compromise on this, and the union must be willing to go to any lengths to achieve this. Bennings has demonstrated that she is willing to sacrifice the health and the well-being of our bargaining unit for her career, and we cannot let her stick around and implement her plans. The next thing I'll say is we need to establish our union as a leader for the state. demonstrating widely how we can serve as an example for other rank and file members of other unions who do not want to listen to reticent and conservative voices. I think we need self-governance. I think the easiest path to self-governance is through electing a union-friendly board. We must muster the people power. We were able to rally during the strike to do this. We need to be ready at every stage for the 2020 general strike, ensuring that our union is entirely on board with doing whatever it takes to undo the decades of austerity and funneling money to the rich. I have many other ideas that we can, maybe talk about for the union, but I'm going to stop right now. Thanks.
Thank you, Dan. Alicia, you're up.
Thank you. This is Alicia. Okay, this is a tough question, and a good question, of course. So I appreciate Dan's much bigger thinking that I originally had, and this is why it's so good to have these to kind of see where people's minds go. One of the things that to me is a pressing issue right now is maintaining the momentum that we have from our strike. And again, that's why I'm here. Like, I couldn't believe we did it, and we did it. This energy will ebb. We need to continue engaging members, utilizing using the resources that and experiences we had to look forward and think, like, if it comes to this again, what would we do different? How would what would we do the same? So kind of I just maintaining the momentum of like what we've just done. I think is really important, especially just looking ahead to like we're going into another year of bargaining with our contract being up next year. So that's one of the pressing issues for me. Another issue related to our strike, and again, not to make it so like recent, but I think engaging with non-dues paying members is really important, and checking in on relationships with our colleagues, either folks who opted not to participate in the strike, who aren't dues paying members and either did or didn't participate. I think those type of relationships can cause a lot of strain in departments. And so figuring out ways to like connect with folks, figure out like where can we find like a meeting point for this?
10 seconds.
Thank you. Yeah, so relationship building, and then gosh, I think one of the big things too is the economic piece of dues paying members, but I know I'm running out of time, so I will pause there.
This is Bonnie. Thank you both. This next question has seems really long, so but I'll put it in the chat and I will read it out loud. Okay. Our union objectives, as stated in the bylaws, are to bring members of the faculty and academic professionals into relations of mutual assistance and cooperation, to advance the professional interests of community college and faculty academic professionals, to improve the instruction at Portland Community College, to eliminate all forms of discrimination in education, to cooperate with organized labor for the purpose of advancing democratic concepts through the schools at all levels. The first three are mostly focused on PCC internally, and the last two are also focused externally. What is your perspective on the amount of union focus and energy should go to each? And what is your sense of how the membership feels? Am I going with Alicia? I can't remember. Alicia, I think you're first.
Thank you so much, Bonnie. This is Alicia. And of course, why I get the heavy ones first. Okay. So I'm gonna have to take a second to think about this. I have a feeling we're gonna have different opinions on this. I do think that the first three points, and our objectives should be where a lot of our focus goes. I think that's where we do have more of I don't want to say locus of control, but we work in a place for a specific job, when I'm going to give a little background. I came from the restaurant industry where I had no union, no protections, no paid time off. Like every single time I take a vacation and I don't have to lose money, like by taking time off, it is amazing to me. I've been in this job 12 years. So that stays really close to me with working at community college or at Portland Community College for all the work that the previous unions have done with building strong contracts. I think that where membership stands, I do think there are a lot of people who are rightly so much more engaged in the external focus. And these are amazing things, not saying we shouldn't. I just think that day to day, the energy and capacity, for me personally, would be our focus should potentially be on more on the first three and utilizing our as much as we can for the second two. And again, not saying that they're not important. I just think for where we are right now, yeah, without much, I'm not going to be able to articulate any better than that right now. So thank you.
Thank you, Alicia. You articulated it fine. Dan, you're next.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you, Alicia. I think that was really well said. I think, you know, the words mutual assistance and cooperation for me are super important. And I think I saw so much more of that during the strike than I'd seen beforehand. I think I've always had a little bit of a resentment to those members of our bargaining unit who weren't dues paying and yet still benefited from what the union has been doing. And I know that's due to the Janus law that can be the case, but I do see it as kind of like when you were in college and everybody would order a pizza and there'd always be that one person that would take a slice without chipping in for the pizza. And I don't think that's fair. And I really think the way to deal with that is through emphasizing that we're all in this together. I also think that our professional interests and our economic interests are a little different. I'm a full-time instructor, and I believe there's an unspoken class difference between full and part-time faculty. And I don't think it should be unspoken. Sorry. I will be the first to say that, when I look at my salary, I don't have a bad deal. I've been here for 18 years. And there are part-timers that cannot make a living off of this. They travel between campuses and they have a really hard time. These are the people we really need to advocate for. The people at the bottom bring everybody to the top. Thank you.
Thank you both. Okay, next question is, one perspective is that if members have unmet priorities, they should get more involved with the union and in leadership. What is your perspective about this and the process of discovering and meeting the needs of members that aren't well represented for a multitude of reasons in union priorities? And Dan, you get to start.
Yeah, I mean, that's the difference between the service model and the more organizing model. I mean, this is, people have gotten in the habit, I think, of asking the union to do things for them. And I think it's more of the organizing model was like, no, you are the union too, and you're going to organize with us and we will help you do it. And we're all going to do it together. And we want to see involvement. And I think the people who have been successful have done that. So, like for example, there was some contract language about advanced degree pay. MSA, I think, would have been gone a long time ago. Music and Sonic Arts. That fight would have been given up a long time ago if they weren't so motivated. And I have so much respect for them, and I think they're going to win eventually, no matter what it takes, because there is no give up in those people. And so that's the kind of thing I respect. Don't send the union leadership emails and say, why isn't this happening? Or even worse, if this doesn't happen, I quit. Let's do this together. I mean, we can always help. Us more experienced union leaders can always help organize and advocate and get the contract language that we need to hear from you. And that's why it's just so important for everybody to just feel like they're a member. And I think I think our EC has done a great job in that. The outreach has been amazing. And it hasn't just been during the strike. I mean, I've just some of the beautiful communications I've received over the years from Michelle Dewberry, for example, and just our communications team. It's just been wonderful. And people do read them and they do get involved.
Thank you, Dan. This is Bonnie. Alicia, you're next.
Awesome. Thanks, Dan. This is Alicia. Yeah, there, as I read this question, my brain goes to like, we are the union. So like when there are concerns, more complaints, gripes, whatever you want to call it, that it's us. It's not just the union. Like we're part of it. So, and I haven't thought about it in the way of like a service versus organizing model. So I get to learn something new right now. And I do think that that something that I come back to quite a bit when I think about this as someone who has had to, I've stepped up in my union participation or my like leadership participation within the union at times when I was able to, and I had to step back when I had things going on. And so I think of that for most of our members where we have a lot of members who have life circumstances that don't allow extra time or mental capacity or whatever you want to call it to think beyond just like their day job. And so but there are things that are occurring at work that like maybe could be improved through support from the union or from them. And so I think finding out what the needs are is, again, going back to, as Dan mentioned, like ongoing, really, really good communication. Relationship building is really important, I think, too. Knowing like who is active in the union, who people can talk to, who people are comfortable talking to, because that's a whole other thing too. I think, thank you. I think knowing, again, the ebb and flow of like who can step up and when they can step up, and for, either sharing concerns, but also not being able to maybe do something at the moment. It's important to communicate. Thank you.
Thank you both very much. Okay, next question. How do you want executive council members to address the concerns of those on the council in opposition to something the majority favors? And I believe, Alicia, you're first in this one.
I am. Thank you. This is Alicia. How do you want? Okay, just rereading the question. Again, I feel like the answer to all of this is like communication, collaboration, checking in with people. There will always be differing opinions, differing values, differing ideas. That's like just going to happen regardless of anything. And so obviously when the executive council as a team should be coming forth with a united message, I don't want to say front, but yeah, like showing like standing up for something or offering something. I'm not really good with like abstract stuff, so I'm trying to think of an example. But I think the members addressing the concerns of folks in the minority, I think, again, would be having really good conversations, finding out like, where's the middle ground? Where are we going? Is it something that's like an urgent matter that needs to be resolved now, or is it something that could be tabled for, a future consideration? I think just keeping the conversation going and not, saying, well, sorry, it didn't work out for you this time. Again, without like a concrete example, I'm having a hard time. I think just empathizing, listening, communicating, and realizing that no matter what, some of us will be on the majority sometimes, some of us will be on the minority other times. So just keeping an open mind that, yeah, the differences might not always be able to work out smoothly or perfectly, but
15 seconds.
knowing that the door for conversation is always open.
Thank you. Dan.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the first answer I would give is quite simple. You know, I mean, we're elected to represent the bargaining unit, and if it's something the bargaining unit feels strongly one way or the other on, whether it's the majority opinion or not, you should go that way. You know, unless there really is a reason not to. I think, like, of course, people have differing opinions. I mean, I've seen the bargaining team during negotiations hash things out. I've sat in on a lot of those meetings, and there's a really good process for listening to minority opinions. And usually, what comes out of that is best. What I don't like to see are divisive issues come into play, especially when they have no bearing on our mission. Sometimes I've seen a lot of division over actions and statements that were largely symbolic. And I do not like seeing people die on hills for symbolic victories. I like real victories with real consequences. So, you know, I appreciate the question, but I do think the process in place is a good one. I think that there's always been a good group who are willing to listen. And yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Okay, this is Bonnie, and we're going to end with the same question, and we're going to give you each just 1 minute to do this. And that question is, what would you like to say to PCC APs and faculty that aren't union members? Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, I mean, of course, there's this is a I mentioned before, this is a huge concern because I don't think it's fair. But there's different reasons for this. Oftentimes, it's just because people haven't been reached out to. They don't even know they're not a member. So it's our responsibility to have the membership structure in place. We have to have these membership drives. One idea that I have is after a contract victory is establishing a B team of EC members who are not tired, because I know the bargaining team just likes to rest, but there should be a huge membership drive of,
15 seconds.
after each victory, whether it's a strike or whatever. People oftentimes want to be members and they just don't know. For those people who are just opposed to unions, I have nothing to say to them. Enjoy your life and enjoy your salary.
Thank you. Alicia, why don't you wrap it up with what you would say?
Thank you. This is Alicia. Yeah, my first big question would be like, why not? Like, why aren't you a member? What are the reasons? Having connected with multiple folks in different departments here, some reasons I've heard from people who aren't dues paying members currently are like the economic piece. And that can be really hard because if you are dues paying for however long and decide not to become dues paying, it's hard to get them back to be like, well, this is why. But for this role, for the elections and nominations election officer, one of the biggest things that you do as a member is you vote. You have a say in voting for our contract, our
15 seconds.
elected officers. So like what's important to you as part of this union? What would get you involved? What would get you interested? I would have more to say, but I don't have that much more time. So.
Okay, this is Bonnie. Thank you both. Again, we have two really dynamic candidates, and we're lucky to have them as part of our union and as part of our leadership. So again, you might have a little more difficulty than you maybe thought you were going to have. Thank you, everybody, the candidates, and also for everybody that came today, to everybody that submitted a question. And I hope that you can come tomorrow to hear from our organizing officer candidates and our president candidates. And this meeting has been recorded, so it will be posted. And please let people know who were not able to come. Elections don't begin until the 26th of May, so there's still lots of time to think and talk. And I'll just end by saying solidarity forever. Thank you.